Hello, and welcome to Small Business 21st Century and today's segment of Build Your Difference. I'm your host, Pierre Walters, and we have an exciting show for you today. Our guests today are embarking upon a theater premiere with no holds barred. It is Rapid Lemon's production of Pulitzer Prize winning playwright Susan Laurie Parks' acclaimed The Book of Grace, premiering at the Strand in Baltimore, January 12th through 28th. So please welcome the director of the show, Lauren Davis, who is excited to be making her Rapid Lemon debut. She is a member of Chesapeake Shakespeare Companies and a member of their Black Classical Acting Ensemble. Most recently, she directed Chesapeake Shakespeare Company's summer production of Macbeth, Chesapeake Shakespeare Company's Olive Branch and Laurel Crown's production of To Be a Soldier. She was also the associate director of Fila at Olney. Her acting credits are many, including As You Like It, Love's Labor's Lost, Romeo and Juliet. She holds a Master of Fine Arts from the Catholic University of America and a theater degree from Frostburg State. And for our cast, please welcome Benny Pope. Benny is making his debut with Rapid Lemon Productions in The Book of Grace as Vet. He has performed in Romeo and Juliet, A Christmas Carol at Chesapeake Shakespeare Company, and his many acting credits also include A Soldier's Play, God's Trombone, Hamlet, Ain't Nothing But the Blues, and The Witness for the Prosecution. I'm pleased to welcome the star of The Book of Grace, Jess Rivera. Now, this is her debut with Rapid Lemon Productions as well. Jess' recent work includes And Baby Makes Seven, The Most Massive Woman Wins, and High School Coven at Strand Theater, and The Code Switch with Sisters Freehold. And the last member of the cast, yours truly, Pierre Walters. So let's go ahead and commence. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. I'm so glad that each of you could take time out of your busy schedules to be here with us today and just share with us a little bit about this incredible play. I know I'm very excited to be in this play, but I want to know, starting with you, Lauren, as the director, what is The Book of Grace by Susan Laurie Parks?
Simply put, Pierre, you already said it, it's a play.
It's a play. It's a theater play.
Yes.
Okay. But it's the title is interesting. The Book of Grace. Now, is there a physical book? Is it a metaphor? What?
There is a physical book, and our lead character she has it in her possession. It's a book filled with treasures. Mm-hmm. You know, kind of like our how we are as people. We have certain things that we want to keep to ourselves. So.
I'm really curious about the author, the playwright. Mm-hmm. Who is Susan Laurie Parks? For those who may not be familiar, give us a little background.
Absolutely, she is she's a prolific playwright. Her plays deal a lot with everyday matters, but she elevates them with poetry. The language in the plays are so beautiful. As you mentioned, she is a Pulitzer Prize winning playwright, as well as a MacArthur Genius Award winner.
Wow. Sheesh. All right. So this is highly acclaimed.
Yes.
Now, how did you come to choose this project as a director? This came across your desk. What endeared you to this specific play?
I'm always interested in plays that deal with family relationships. And so when I saw this play and when I read it, it just stuck to me. It speaks a lot about generational trauma and how that there are parents that pass that down as their legacy. You know, not wealth, health, and happiness, but trauma. And so that's what this play deals with.
You know, I wanna pose that same question to you, Jess, and also to you, Benny. So, Jess, when this came across your desk, I don't know if it did come across your desk, or maybe you saw the ad and you said, "I'm going to audition for that." But how did you come to learn about this play, and what made you decide to take it? This is a challenging part.
So, what brought me to this role is executive producer at Rapid Lemon, Max Gardner. He invited me. He said, "I've seen your work. I am interested in working with you, and I have a role that I think you'd really appreciate." So I read the script, and I've been a fan of Susan Laurie Parks for a very long time. She's an incredible playwright. So I was already like, I didn't want to even read it. I was like, Yes. It's Susan Lloyd Parks, yes. But when I read it, what really sealed the deal for me is that Grace is a character who really sees the goodness of the world. And in the book of Grace, it's an actual book in the show, she's writing about the goodness of the world. And it reminded me so much of like the early pandemic where, you know, the world shuts down and we're all isolated and our lives are all disrupted and there's this fear in the world of what's happening next. And I had my own little book of Jess where I was writing down positive things that were happening in my life and during my day. So, and that really got me through the very stressy, depressy, like late 2020. So yeah, when I saw that Grace was doing something similar, I just fell in love with it.
You felt a connection.
I felt a connection, yeah.
That's magical when that happens, right?
Yeah,
you
I
know,
was just like,
as an artist.
Yeah, I've done something similar in times of hardship and trouble as this character has, and I was just like, oh, I love her. Let's do it. Send me the contract. I'm ready. Yeah.
Benny, how about you? Now, how did you learn about this project?
So for me, I was approached about this project, and when I read the script, unlike just being able to relate immediately to a character, it was a character of, this guy's crazy. And hopefully that shows that I'm sane because I so fell in love with this character because of his insaneness. Now, that may not make sense, but as an actor, it presented to me an immediate challenge. This guy, vet, Border Patrol agent, ultra conservative, his life is all about walls, all about boundaries. When he's at work, of course, his job is protecting our borders. When he is at home and in his personal life, apparently, from some trauma that may have happened or something in his life, he has set up boundaries and walls in almost every aspect of his life. And of course, that affects his relationships with his wife, my wife, Grace, and our son, Buddy, who comes home and we're reunited after a while. And so just taking this journey through him and how the walls that he's constructed, how that's going to impact the future perhaps of this family, really just drew me in.
And what's really interesting, Benny, is that you are really not like that. I mean, really not like that. One of the things that you're well known for is your one-man show, right?
That is correct. I have a one-man, 74-year-old character, Sal, that I do. And so I am more known for my likeness in real life and also in a lot of the characters I've done in the past. I'm usually the jolly person. And this also was a great challenge for me, as I said, as an actor.
Right.
Just taking on this role and getting into the mind of some of the things that, you know, you see in Vet's life, the more abusive side of him, the more dominating in not such a good way.
The not so pretty stuff.
And just taking that on just grew me so much in this process. And I know it's been a pleasure working with our director because at the time, she, who knows me, it kind of in a personal way too, kind of like, no, not Benny, I need that.
Yeah. So that actually, and that's really, really good. So, you know, Lauren, you really, you know, had just this incredible script that you got to play with. You had some incredible actors that you were able to lead and guide. What are some of the things that you want audiences to take away when they come to see the Book of Grace? What are some of the things you think that they should probably expect from this production?
Well, I think for sure it talks about and deals with family dynamics. There's a lot of things that happen in our homes that we never deal with. And so as Benny was talking about, he mentioned borders. Borders are there to keep things out, but they also lock things in. And so then my question would be to the audience members, what is it that you're locking in that needs to be dealt with? You know, what secrets are you harboring that are harmful to you and unknowingly to your family members and those who are around you, those who are in your circle?
My observation when going through the rehearsal process with everyone here is that this play has a lot of in my opinion, explosive themes.
Yes.
Okay, like you just hinted at, and I want to know. And I'm going to see if I can word this the right way. But what do you think drives the emotional conflict between the characters in a story like this?
Mm-hmm. Well, for sure, as I was saying, the border wall is ever present, and it's like a fourth character in the play. So what's driving these characters and what's driving that emotional conflict is essentially the borders are keeping in their own personal secrets. So Buddy arrives and Buddy has his secrets, Vet has his secrets, and Grace has her secrets. And it's the uncovering of those secrets and the reactions of the family members when they hear those secrets. That is what's pushing this play forward. I'd even say it's the catalyst for all of the change that's happening in the house. It's the revealing of these secrets.
I see. So the revealing of the secrets, the revealing of everyone's sort of inner secrets, maybe dark secrets, maybe not so dark secrets, actually, but just secrets, seems to be a compelling push to where we get some of these explosions that might occur in
Absolutely.
the story. Okay.
And Susan does something that's really great. She has every single character essentially has a moment where they are delivering a soliloquy that gives us extra background story as to who they are and what's happening. And it gives us a little peek into their emotional state and why things are the way they are in their present. Sometimes they talk about things that have happened in the past that are currently affecting their present. And so those moments it allows the audience a peek into their world without necessarily revealing all of their secrets to the other characters on stage.
Woo! Okay, this is a heavy play.
It's for sure heavy.
This is a heavy play. 'Cause let me tell you, once secrets get unraveled,
But you can't put it back in.
All right, so look, this time we're gonna take a short break. But when we return, we're gonna have more with Lauren Davis, Jess Rivera, and Benny Pope of the Book of Grace. Stay with us.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
And welcome back. You're watching Small Business 21st Century, and today's segment of Build Your Difference with my special guest. We've got director Lauren Davis and the cast of the Book of Grace, Jess Rivera and Benny Pope. Now, prior to the break, we were discussing some background, who the author, the playwright, Susan Laurie Parks. We were discussing some of the nuances between the characters and some of the themes that we explore in this play. But I'm curious because these are some challenging characters. And I'll tell you, just as a part of the team and watching you guys transform, it has been mind-blowing. And I'm telling you, the audience is going to be in for a treat. So I'm curious, Jess, I'm going to ask you,
Sure.
what is one thing you can tell us about your character, about Grace?
Grace? Okay. One thing I could definitely tell you about Grace is that she is a dreamer. She is optimistic. She is hopeful. She truly believes that there is good and positivity in the world. And all you have to do is manifest it, reach for it, look for it, and grasp it. And you can change yourself and the world around you. She's definitely one of those.
A dreamer.
Yeah, a dreamer, an optimist.
A dreamer.
And the other thing I could say is that she is resilient. She's a very resilient woman.
A dreamer who is a resilient woman.
Yes.
Now, to me, those are very positive things. Okay?
They are, yeah.
Steve Jobs has a quote, which I love, which is something about like dreamers, the world, like the dreamers make the world.
We need dreamers.
We need dreamers. So we need people like Grace. So what don't you like about Grace? if there's anything you don't like about Grace.
I think that there is a point where positivity and optimism and resilience and hope, these are all very positive attributes. But if you are ignoring all the wrongness in the world and the things that are happening to you, if you don't have your own personal boundaries to protect yourself and the people around you, then perhaps the excessive positivity and optimism can lead to, I guess, sort of like a Pollyannism, you know?
Oh.
So instead of addressing the issues and working on real problems and fixing your life or the world around you, you are just going to ignore all the bad and just focus on the nice things without actually addressing the bad and fixing them to make your life a good, nice thing.
You know, I really appreciate you pointing that out, because I think that's something we could all probably relate to. Is we might all maybe have met people, or maybe we've been that person at some point in our lives where we say, you know what, okay, I'm just gonna be positive, and I'm not gonna reinforce my boundaries. I'm going to let certain things slide.
Yeah.
And then we sort of recognize or realize in happenstance, maybe, oh, wait a second, maybe if I had protected my boundaries, or if I established my boundaries a little bit sooner, I wouldn't have gotten into this mess. You know, I mean, I can definitely tell you that's happened to me. Okay. Benny, you've got your you know, you are, this is what I'm going to say to you is you are unrecognizable on stage. I mean, it's like a completely different human being. Well, it is a completely different human being. But I mean, it's so jarring. It's actually terrifying. It's actually terrifying. Benny, what's one thing we should know about Vet?
So Grace makes Vet's world of boundaries easy when it comes to the home, because it's pretty clear cut what I do as far as my job being a Border Patrol agent. There's a system in place that's kind of established that for me. It gets some kind of more conservative than others, but for the most part, I keep the thems of the world out of our space of us's. And when I go home, because Grace is who she is, and just by the virtue of her name, having Grace, she allows me then to set up my boundaries in the home, because she's overly believing in me, and believing in me to the point where I can set up, whether they may be unhealthy, but I get to set up boundaries in the home.
Well, we might even say to that, Benny, as one of the things Just had mentioned was, you know, maybe it's that she does, maybe it's that there's a lack of boundaries on her end, right?
On her end, which allows mine.
Yeah, which allows yours
to set up the
kind of
system.
Like, almost like a,
Yes.
you know, I want to, this seems like a really good time to tell you this anecdote. I started growing, at the beginning of this play, I planted some peppermint in my garden, and I have never planted peppermint before, so I didn't know. I was thinking, okay, let me just tell you this. I was thinking, oh, this is going to be lovely. I can use peppermint in tea, okay?
Yeah.
1 month later, let me tell you, peppermint has no boundaries.
And no boundaries, none.
That plant almost, it like, just completely like, my God, I was like, what is this? I had to get in there and start snipping away, like really snipping away, and like put some boundaries around that plant, because that plant wanted to take over my lettuce, my lavender, my basil, the peppermint. Yes. So boundaries.
And that's what Vet does. He goes in and he puts up walls around that peppermint as well as everything else. But one of the good things that I like about Vet, though, one of the things I can kind of relate to Vet with, Vet, because of his boundary location, even to his own advancement sometimes, he still like is behind the time in technology and things like that, which he's not just this staunch character. He almost comes off as humorous sometimes, because he's always talking about things, and he's the expert on the subject, of course, because he's contained himself. No one's smarter than me in my own containment, you know? That's one of the things that I love about playing this character as well, that just being able to play those times where he's like, rambling on, because he knows everything, and it's like, did you just say that? So are you using that?
You have some, I mean, you really have some challenging, challenging moments, and it's interesting to see that from the actor's perspective. you know, it's the challenging moments, but it's also the more lighthearted moments that
Exactly.
really kind of endear you to what you're to the
Yeah,
role
he's a
you're
real
playing.
person. He is a real person. He has maybe a dark side to him, but he also is a human being that, you know, you see a glimpse of potential, maybe.
Yeah. And so I want to pose the same question to you, Lauren, as the director. I would be so interested to pick your brain about what did you have sort of specific challenge? Well, I know you probably had a whole lot of challenges you had to go through. Let me tell you. But for us and the audience, was there maybe one or two likes, maybe one or two dislikes that you had about maybe the characters or about maybe some of the themes we had to explore, you know, as you're realizing your vision for this? Were there parts that were maybe like really challenging for you to kind of figure out and overcome? I don't know. That's a loaded question. Take it how you know. Go for it.
Well, I'll say this. The relationship that Vet has with his son and his wife was extremely challenging. Whenever we're dealing with trauma and we're having people walk into the space, I always want to make sure that I am doing service to the play, as well as letting the audience know, hey, this topic is going to be explored. And so there are some topics that could possibly be a trigger warning for audiences who are coming to see the show. There is abuse in there towards the son as well as towards the wife. And so those topics are always very sensitive because we want to highlight them in order to hopefully stop them from happening in actual life. You know, it says that there's a saying that art, it represents life. And so this situation, while Susan has put it in very poetic terms, is very real. And so it's challenging approaching this in a very sensitive way.
Yeah.
Father-son relationships, a lot of them are always fraught with difficulties. And so representing, just as a director, making sure that I put that out there in a healthy way, I guess you could say, it was a challenge.
In a way that people can digest it and they can leave with the intended.
Thank you. Yes,
Right,
leave with the intended theme.
Yeah.
Thank you. Took the words right out of my mouth.
So, okay, on that point, what is probably, might be a very challenging question. I'm going to pose it to you. What is probably the message that you would want audiences to leave with? I mean, I know this play covers so much, but if you had to distill it into a core theme or a core message, what would it be? And I know you said borders several times as a theme,
Yes.
but I want to ask if that's it. Just elaborate a little bit more. What is the thing you want us to leave with?
Well, I'll say this: the major theme is borders, and without giving away any spoilers, Vet does have a line that keeps just replaying in my head, and it's I have kept myself contained. I have contained myself, and so what I want folks to think about is, well, what's in that container? What are things that you are keeping that needs to be unpacked in a healthy way? You know, I think that sometimes we don't really understand the magnitude of what it is that we're dealing with personally. And so family trauma is real. You never know what you're passing down to your children. You never know what they will pass down to their children.
Right.
So we need to deal with that. We need to unpack it in a healthy way.
Right.
And so that's kind of the message that I want people to leave with.
Wow, this I can tell you, working with you two as fellow performers has been a real honor. It really has. I have felt stretched in this, and working under your direction, Lauren, has been a real privilege, I'll say.
Thank you.
Yeah, and being asked to explore things. I mean, this is why we do theater. To put ourselves into challenging circumstances and explore that. And thank you for your direction, and thank you for just being incredible performers that I'm lucky to have had the chance to work with.
We're lucky to
Okay.
have you.
Yes,
So,
for
exactly.
sure.
You're
Thank
crushing
you.
this.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, and you're a charming host as well.
Oh, yes.
well,
Pierre, this is great.
well. Let me go ahead and take my flowers. Here now.
Go ahead, take them.
I wanna leave us with just one sort of nugget about this play, and that is that we don't have the opportunity as much as we probably should to experience Black voices in this way in the theater. Okay? I just finished an August Wilson play, and it took me how long in my career to be able to do just that? And it's because it's not happening enough. And so I'm so delighted that that Susan wrote this and that we get to make this possible for the audience. So I want to say, it's that time again. If you want to know more about this, you can see the information scrolling at the bottom of your screen. It's tough times we're living in, but the theater can make it better. You've been watching Small Business 21st Century in today's segment of Build Your Difference. Thank you for watching. Have a momentous week.